Okay, so the story I'm gonna narrate today is very horrific, and not gonna lie, this will give you chills down your spine. So I was having a conversation with my friend Joseph, and he told me about one of his cousin, Marcus, and what happened to him. Joseph started crying while telling me the case of his cousin. Without wasting any time, let's begin. Marcus was a 28-year-old guy living in San Jose, working for a very reputed startup, and had a very comfortable salary to actually live alone in a two-bedroom apartment. His job was able to provide him with above average salary. Sometimes it happened that he had to stay late at his office to complete the project and stuff assigned to him. It was very usual office culture. So one particular Tuesday, there was this big client presentation coming up in like 2 days, and the whole back end was still a mess. Half the team was still building stuff that should have been done a week ago, and Marcus, being the guy he was, he stayed. He always stayed. That was just Marcus, the kind of person who doesn't leave until the thing is done, not because anyone forced him, but because he genuinely could not sit with something being unfinished. His co-workers had started filtering out around 9 and 10 at night. The usual goodbyes, take care, see you tomorrow, and Marcus just stayed at his desk with his third coffee going cold next to his keyboard. He finally shut his laptop at 11:15. He told his friend later that when he stood up, his back cracked in 4 places, and he had been sitting so long his feet felt weird when he walked. He grabbed his bag, said goodnight to the 2 other engineers still grinding away in the corner, took the elevator down to the parking, and got into his car. Gray Civic. He had had it since grad school and never felt the need to upgrade because Marcus genuinely did not care about cars, the way some of the other guys at the startup did. While his co-workers were talking about leasing BMWs and Model 3s, Marcus was perfectly fine with his Civic. It got him where he needed to go. He started the drive home. He told my friend Joseph that he actually liked this part of the day, the drive home at 11, almost midnight, because the streets were empty. The Silicon Valley traffic is its own special kind of miserable. Bumper to bumper, everyone's stressed, everyone late for something, but at 11 at night, it's a different world entirely. Empty roads, street lights, the occasional traffic lights cycling through its colors for nobody. AC running because the Bay Area nights stay warm. He had some playlists going, lo-fi stuff, and his brain was still half running through the work he had just done. The way your brain does after a long session when it hasn't gotten the message yet that the day is over. He's maybe 10, 12 minutes into the drive. He's on this residential stretch, the kind of street where it's just houses on both sides. All the windows dark, everybody asleep, quiet neighborhood, nothing unusual. And he sees something in the middle of the road. A basketball. Just sitting there, right in the middle of his lane, directly under a street light. Completely still, not rolling, not moving, not slowly drifting toward the curb the way a ball does when there's even a slight slope. Just placed there, still, like someone had walked out to the center of the road, put it down, and left. Now Marcus slowed down when he saw it. His foot went to the brake. He dropped his speed, and for a second he thought about stopping and getting out. But then he thought about it for a second. It's almost midnight. The street is completely empty. There's nobody around. It's obviously just some kid's ball that rolled out of a driveway and stopped in a weird spot. It happens. He stared slightly to the left, gave it a wide berth, and drove past it. His rear bumper cleared the basketball, and the temperature in his car dropped so suddenly that he actually flinched. Not gradually, not like a wind shifting or the AC kicking up a notch. Instantly, like someone had teleported his car into a freezer mid-drive. He said it was a kind of cold that doesn't feel like weather, doesn't feel like a mechanical thing. It feels like the air itself has changed into something else entirely. He could see his breath immediately inside the car. Condensation started crawling across the inside of the windshield, and he had to lean forward to wipe it with his forearm just to see the road ahead. He turned the AC off. The cold stayed. He turned the heat on full blast. The cold stayed. For about 40, maybe 50 seconds, it just sat there. That impossible dense cold with no source filling every corner of the car. And then slowly, gradually over the next minute or so, it faded back to normal. The windshield cleared. The air went warm again. His breath stopped showing. Marcus sat there gripping the steering wheel and spent the rest of the drive home with one hand on the wheel and one hand googling AC malfunctions and Freon leaks at red lights. He found some forum thread about refrigerant issues causing sudden temperature drops in car cabins, read through it at a stop sign, and basically convinced himself by the time he pulled into his building's parking garage that that was exactly what had happened. Freon leak. Mechanical issue. He will take care of it. He parked the car, grabbed his bag, took the elevator up from the garage to the lobby, nodded at the doorman who was half asleep behind his desk, and took the main elevator up to his floor. He got inside, kicked his shoes off, poured himself a small glass of whiskey he had been gifted months ago and barely touched, and turned the TV on low. Started his usual wind down. Checked his phone one last time, scrolled for a few minutes. Normal. The apartment was quiet and warm and familiar, and the Freon leak theory was feeling more solid by the minute. He went to the bathroom to brush his teeth, and that's where he saw. The shower glass was fogged up like someone just took the bath. It was strange, 'cause he lives alone. He started running his mind scared. Did someone break in? Nah, it's not possible, he thought. Probably he left it like this in the morning and Fogg had nowhere to escape in a closed bathroom, he thought to himself. He freshened up and went to his bedroom to go to sleep finally. He laid down, using his phone. He was browsing YouTube. It was 1 a.m. and suddenly he hears a ball thud in the living room. He flinched and his heart started beating so fast like it would come out. He decided to go outside and check, but for some reason, his mind was telling not to go at all. To actually lay still, but he went outside anyway. There's no way someone can actually break in his house. That was not even on the ground floor, and security was tight also. All these things were circling in his mind when he steps in the living room. He turns the lights on and just stands there. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Couch, TV, kitchen, all normal. No ball anywhere. He checked behind the couch, checked the kitchen, even opened the bathroom door. Nothing. He stood there for a second, felt stupid, told himself it was probably the unit above him or some noise from outside, and went back to bed. Turned YouTube back on, found some random video, fell asleep within like 20 minutes. Normal. He woke up at 3 a.m. No sound, nothing. Just suddenly awake. And he said the first thing he felt before he even properly opened his eyes was that someone was in the room with him. Not a sound, not a movement, just that feeling. You know the one? He opened his eyes and looked toward the door. The second bedroom door was closed. Now here's the thing. Marcus never closed that door. Ever. There was nothing in there worth closing a door for. He had lived there for 8 months, and that door had been open every single night. He stared at it from his bed for a while, got up, went over and opened it. The room was freezing. Same exact cold as the car. He said he recognized it immediately, and his plant, the one he watered like a day ago, was completely brown and dead. Not like dying, dead. Crispy dead. He closed the door, went to the living room, turned every light on, and stayed there till morning. Next day, he convinced himself it was a vent issue. Plant probably had root rot, I don't know. Door probably swung shut on its own. He He went to work, got through the week, seemed fine, but he texted my friend Joseph like 3 days later. My friend still has a text. It just said, "Bro, something feels off in my apartment. Not like someone broke in, just off and wrong. I keep thinking about that basketball." Joseph asked, "What basketball?" Marcus just said, "Never mind, long week, I'm tired." After that text, Marcus went silent. It was now Saturday night. The time was 8:30 p.m. He was done with his dinner. As it was Saturday night, he wasn't planning to sleep anytime soon. He decides to play Call of Duty on his PS5. He hops on the game, waiting for a lobby, then the match starts. He was enjoying the time. Match ends, queues again, another game. Just vibing, headset on, talking a little trash. Most relaxed he had ever felt all week, honestly. Good Saturday energy. Third game in, mid-match, a notification sound. He ignores it, finishes the match, tabs over to check. Friend request. No username, blank. Gray default picture. Nothing where the name should be. He declined it, went back to the game. 2 minutes later, same request again. Declined. 30 seconds, same one. He goes to block the account, clicks the profile, 0 games, 0 trophies, account creation date is just a dash. Like it existed only to contact him. He blocked it and tossed his headset on the couch. He's just sitting there now, phone in hand, thinking about getting some water, maybe watching something before bed. Apartment is quiet. Lights are on, normal Saturday night. And from the second bedroom, thud. He looks up from his phone. Thud. He sits up straight. Thud, thud, thud. Slow and steady. Like someone in that room bouncing a ball on the floor. Not fast, not panicked, just casual. Like a kid just sitting there bouncing a ball by himself in the dark. He counted without meaning to. Got to 15 before it stopped. Dead silence. He's sitting on the couch, not moving, just staring at that second bedroom door. His heart is going fast, but he gets up, walks over, opens it. Empty. Dark, cold. Same cold as the car. Hits him in the face the second he opens the door. He fumbles for the light, turns it on. Nothing in the room except his desk, his dead plant, and the basketball sitting in the middle of the floor. He stares at it. He gets scared. It's just sitting there, still. He stands in the doorway looking at it, and he doesn't go in. Just reaches the door and pulls it shut and goes back to the couch and just sits there. Okay. Deep breath. He's awfully scared now. He puts the TV on, some random show. Doesn't matter what, just noise and light. He's not really watching it, just staring at it. Starts to calm down a little bit. 20 minutes pass, nothing happens. Then, the TV turns off. Not like a power cut. Everything else stays on. Just a TV. Screen goes black. He looks at the remote on the couch next to him. He didn't touch it. He grabs the remote and turns it back on. It turns off again immediately. He turns it on, off, on, and off. He's just sitting there turning this TV on and it keeps shutting off by itself, and then he stops. And the room is silent. And in the reflection of the black TV screen, he sees the second bedroom door is open behind him. He turns around. Door is open. Room is dark. He can feel the cold from where he's sitting on the couch. He did not open that door. He closed it himself 20 minutes ago. He grabs his phone and calls Joseph. Joseph picks up and Marcus is talking low. Not whispering, but low. Like he doesn't want to make too much noise. Tells him everything. The bouncing sounds, the ball in the room, the TV, the door. Joseph tells him to just go close the door again and leave the room alone. Don't go in, just close it. Marcus says okay, and Joseph hears his footsteps, and then he hears the door click shut. 2 seconds later, Joseph hears Marcus make a sound. Not a scream, more like a sharp, involuntarily sound, like when you turn a corner and someone is standing right there. Joseph goes, "What? What happened?" And Marcus says, "The door just opened again." He says he literally just closed it and put his hand on it and let go, and it swung back open on its own. Joseph stays on the phone with him. They just talk for a while. Normal stuff. My friend trying to keep him level. Marcus goes back to the couch and keeps the TV on, and they're just talking and things are quiet, and after maybe 40 minutes, Marcus sounds more normal. Says he's gonna try to sleep, thanks my friend Joseph for staying on, and they hang up. Joseph texted him at around 1 a.m. Just a simple, "You good?" Marcus replies, "Yeah, tired, going to sleep." Joseph goes to bed also. 3 a.m. Marcus wakes up. He said later in a voice note he sent Joseph, which Joseph still has it on his phone and has listened to maybe 3 times because it's hard to hear, that he woke up because of the smell. He said there was a smell in the bedroom that wasn't there when he went to sleep. He described it as dirt, like fresh soil, like someone had just dug up the earth inside his apartment. He opens his eyes and the bedroom door is open and the hallway light is on. He didn't leave the hallway light on. He sits up in bed and looks toward the hallway. The basketball is sitting in the doorway of his bedroom. Not in the second bedroom, not in the living room, right there in his bedroom door. Sitting still just inside the threshold, like it had rolled down the hallway and it stopped right there. He said in the voice note that he didn't move for a very long time. He just sat there in bed looking at it. And then he said something that made Joseph's blood run cold when he heard it. He said it wasn't the ball that scared him the most in the moment. It was that the ball had left a trail. Dirty marks on his hallway floor, like the ball had rolled through something wet and dark on its way from the second bedroom to his doorway. Dirty circular marks evenly spaced down the hallway in the dark. He pulled his legs up onto the bed and just sat there with his back against the headboard until morning. Did not sleep, did not move, sat there and watched the ball in his doorway until the sun came up and the light changed and the smell slowly faded, and at some point the ball was just a ball sitting on his floor, and he was just a guy who hadn't slept, and everything outside his window was normal and loud and alive at this point. Morning came. He was exhausted but okay. He picked the ball up with a towel, went to the front door, threw it in the hallway outside his apartment, and closed his door. He texted Joseph at 9 a.m. He said, "Rough night." Joseph replied asking if he was okay, and Marcus said, "Yeah, just tired. Gonna shower and eat and decompress. Talk later." Joseph texted him at 2 p.m. No reply. Called at 5 p.m. Rang out. Texted again at 7 p.m. Nothing. Called again at 9 p.m. Voicemail. Joseph left a message saying, "Hey man, you're making me worried a little bit. Just let me know you're okay. Casual, not alarmed. Trying not to be that person who spirals. Figured Marcus had crashed hard after not sleeping and was just out." Joseph started actually feeling uneasy. Called one more time, voicemail, sent a long text saying, "Hey, seriously, just reply so I know you're good. Even just a thumbs up." Nothing. Monday, Tuesday, Joseph called every day, voicemail every time, texted multiple times, nothing. He even tried reaching Marcus on Instagram. Saw the message were delivering but not being read. He told himself Marcus was in a bad mental space. Sometimes people go quiet when they're overwhelmed. He didn't want to overreact. Wednesday night, Joseph barely slept. Thursday morning, he woke up and the first thing he did was call Marcus. Voicemail. He sat on the edge of his bed and tried to figure out if he was being dramatic. Decided he wasn't. Started looking up Lily's number. He didn't have to find it. At 6:17 p.m. Thursday, his phone rang, and it was Lily, Marcus's sister. She was already crying when he picked up. Not like teared up, fully crying. The kind of crying that happens when something has already happened and the shock is still raw. She said she had been trying to reach Marcus since Tuesday. She had driven to his building that morning. The doorman led her upstairs. She knocked for 15 minutes, nothing. She called the police. They came, knocked, nothing. Got authorization, broke the door down. Joseph asked what they found, and Lily just couldn't say properly the first time. She started and stopped twice, and then she said they found him in the second bedroom, hanging from the ceiling fixture. Joseph said he just went completely still and shocked, couldn't speak. And then Lily kept talking and said something, and Joseph said it was like his brain just stopped being able to catch up to what his ears were hearing. She said when they found him, his stomach was stretched out she said it looked like he was pregnant, like impossibly large, skin stretched outward. The first responders were confused about how long he had actually been gone because of how it looked. The medical examiner opened him up. Every organ in his abdominal cavity was destroyed, shoved to the sides, ruptured, crushed against the walls of his body like something had needed all the space and had just moved everything out of the way. His liver, his intestines, everything. In the center of his body, where all of that should have been, sitting in the middle of the destroyed cavity, completely intact, fully inflated, was a basketball. Inside his body, no cuts on his skin anywhere, no incision, no wound, no entry point, skin completely unbroken, just inside him like it had always been there. The police reports say suicide, the hanging. That's the official cause of death. The basketball the report refers to as a foreign object, origin undetermined, and that's the last time mentioned in any official document. Origin undetermined. Joseph found out through one of Marcus's co-workers weeks later that a kid had been killed on that street 3 years before. 80-year-old chasing a basketball into the road at night. A driver hit him and never stopped. Joseph told me that he thinks about that a lot. He thinks about Marcus driving that route every single night for months. He thinks about the fact that Marcus never once said he didn't know why this was happening to him. He just kept saying he didn't want to open that door. Joseph thinks now he knows what was on the other side.